Hello and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday. This is a weekly show which covers all the news of Star Citizen from the week just past. I am your host Mac, so let's get on with it. This week, patch 2.6.3 gets released. We see the revamped Drake Cutlass plus Happy Hour Talks ship. Remember, courtesy of my patrons, I am giving away a Star Citizen starter package. Commenting on any of my videos throughout the course of April and being a subscriber to the channel will enter you for the draw, which I shall draw at the end of the month. After which, I'll start a new giveaway. Tweeting, sharing, and following me on other platforms found below won't better your chances, but it would be super awesome of you. So, on Around the Verse this week, Chris Roberts mentioned that they held a project review in Frankfurt. This is a place where they plan out the next few sprints. But anyway, for the Austin studio tour, they say they're updating the shop elements as they build the shopping itself. Landing zone AI and usables are getting additional development. They're working on the subflare for the next few months. Things like this vivid display, which displays locations holographically, allows you to find out more about these locations, including their intended visuals. It does look very nice. And also ship schematics, which just showcase the level of details within these ships, which can be hung on your sort of poster-style ports within your hangar. Now, they're revamping the shopping system. They're readdressing the shop mannequins. What they will do is display the clothing which can be purchased either individually, so you can buy a t-shirt or a pair of trousers, or you can buy it as a bundle for a discounted price. And this allows the team to design and create realistic shops and swap in and out different patterns and styles. It looks very cool. Now, in the Persistent Universe animations, they say they have done a pickup shoot to fill the gaps of sort of transition animations for both the male and female. So things like sitting at tables and eating, sleeping, all that sort of thing. They're implementing it now, and this allows for NPCs to say, let's grab a prop, like a tray, place other items upon this prop and then carry that prop away to a table or whatever. Also, I suppose you could see that in maybe the hangar or a garage where they're taking lots of tools. In ship animation, they have finished the major animations for the Cutlass Black. They can now enter and exit the seats. They've also implemented this new stick cockpit style, and they're also going to improve the cockpit experience later on. In QA, they're doing lots of Squadron 42 testing, plus testing the ground vehicles on planetary surfaces, making sure they all work properly. They're testing many tools like Procedural Planet Editor and the Subsumption Editor. For Spectrum, there was a big Spectrum post, but the main interesting part is that they've worked on the Delta Pacture. They've made lots of progress on this. Should be coming within the next couple of months, hopefully. They're also redesigning the RSI site. It's having a massive overhaul to work better for both new and old users. And I did see on the site it says that the old forums are going away as of the 16th of April, I believe, and it's all going to be on Spectrum, so keep that in mind. The ship stats page should be coming within the next few weeks, this whole revamp for the ship stats. That is priority for me. I think they need to get that done so quick, especially when we're paying real money for ships. But anyway, after this we had a quick Drake Cutlass update, and it was a cool in-fiction update regarding the new Cutlass Black revamp. I have done a separate video. It's only a couple of minutes just showing you the other bits. It's gotten a lot bigger. They've added more weapons, more missiles, bigger and better guns as well. Plus it's having better armor. The pilot and the co-pilot can now exit and enter without getting in each other's way. You enter down the sides, I believe, and then you're raised up. The turret is within the living quarters of the ship instead of the cargo area. And the living areas, or the living quarters, are actually more spacious. So it is looking very cool, and it can't be far away. Anyway, to finish off with, they had this really cool in-depth look at the Planetary Outposts. These are what you would probably consider the smallest locations within the verse. They wanted them to feel and look like they could survive in some of the harshest planetary environments, so it must look durable and robust. The visual style needed to support the modular concept as well. And we saw what we can see as the hydroponics and the storage white boxes of these. The first use templates and metric sets to ensure the consistency, and then they add the rooftop pieces and change them up and give them more of a silhouette read from a distance so you can tell what they are as you're approaching them. We get to see the variations of wear, and they're fleshing out the material library with wear and dirt now. This wear and dirt system will run at real time, so if there's a sandstorm, for example, there'll be a build-up of sand and paint will scrape off. It looks just incredible. But they needed to ensure that the outposts would sit properly and they don't stick out, so they've created legs and feet and things just to make sure that they don't look like something out of Fallout 4. They've added stairs as instead of a ramp, because the ramps would just be too long and it looked ridiculous. Once all the assets are made, they'll then be grouped together into prefabs, which makes it easier to create different layouts quickly. Later on, they will be adding more variety. At the moment, everything looks the same, and they say they can't have just constant white outposts everywhere, so they'll change the materials, change the add-ons and the loadouts, as well as I expect the paint jobs. This is more of a proof of concept and the asset in its final form to see what is possible. Now, they need to make the outposts look as though it's been on that particular planet for years, so this is where the age and wear comes in. Also, you can see the ice building up on some of them if I've timed it well. But they had a quick run around inside. It looks very cool, quite spacious, surprisingly. But I can imagine checking them out after a distress signal has been, you know, requested on this planet, and you go down and you find dead bodies, or you find aliens are there, or so much potential with these. They want the interiors to have rust and dust as well, plus they will need them to look interesting, and I'm sure when they get more props for interiors it'll look even better. But remember, this is the first set for the outposts. Eventually we will see a larger variety of outposts, including different colours, design styles, layouts. Sorry about that friggin' motorcycle outside. But yeah, very, very cool. I do like the look of these. I'll probably bring a separate video going into a bit further detail and a bit more gameplay possibilities with these planetary outposts. But let me know your thoughts all the same. So I just want to give a massive shout out to Tiberius Drexler for becoming my latest patron. Thank you so much. It is because of your guys' support that videos like this and the monthly giveaways are possible, and I cannot do it without you. Thank you. So this week's Star Citizen Happy Hour was pretty cool. It was an interview of the LA ship team taking questions from the chat. First question being, how will the shader model scale up for larger ships and capital ships? And they say, very well. They say it will work just as well for larger ships as it does for smaller ships. There is no difference other than the scale. Next question is, will we be able to swap out radars between ships as we prefer? And they say that you're not going to be able to swap out each radar for each ship. Also, don't forget, different manufacturers will have their specific radars for their ships, so you can't swap them particularly between manufacturers. But they are looking into each manufacturer having a distinctive style, but they're still building out the radar foundation. And we will be able to buy upgraded radars for better usability and so forth, which will most likely be interchangeable between ships. They say the focus is on seats right now. The joystick and the multi-function display monitors will come as separate objects which can be plugged in and out, and they're starting that now. This opens the door for a lot of customizability. It's part of the 2.0, the item 2.0, and some parts will be in for the initial release, but then over time they'll just iterate on it more and bring more stuff in. So next question is, what new tech will make up the new Aurora model? And they say the new damage model will be added, which is very important. They want to make sure that there is physically room for the new components inside the ship. In the near future, all ships are going to have the new lighting upgrade, which we saw in ATV a little while back. They've made some new lighting groups, which is very good on performance. It cuts a lot of the lighting, and it looks a lot better as well. First for 3.0 is to increase the performance, and then post 3.0 start adding startup sequences and wing lighting, flashing, and all this sort of stuff. So next question, any word on the screens we saw in the Caterpillar during the ship shape? And they say it's not progressing at the moment, it was just worked on in their spare time. Now the guy who was working on that, I think it was Calyx Renault, is now working on the interaction system. Next question is, will the damage states be different when flying in atmosphere? And he says currently they're not, but, and assume for 3.0 that it won't be ready in time. Currently when your wing breaks off, the effects will be the same as in space, but the physics of the planet will change it, of course. So there are going to be different physics, but it won't be a case of like things ripping off with external forces. But they will be working on this further down the line. So if you take a shot to the wing, it doesn't take your wing off completely, but over time it may, you know, the torque may physically rip off your wing if you take enough damage to do so. So next question, how do you plan to allow ramps and loading bays on ships to work on rough terrain? Now we know, and they have shown us the springy landing gear, and ramps and cargo doors will incorporate the same system. We won't likely see this final version for 3.0, but it will be worked on throughout. So for example, if you're bringing the Caterpillar down, you will need to look for a clear space or clear flat surface big enough to land. It will allow for some certain uneven spaces with the suspension, but it's not going to be a case of huge differences. So question after this was, can you walk us through the ship chain reaction explosion? And firstly, you'll get sort of internal damage effects after taking damage. So if your shot or a missile hits you, you'll see it internally where it was struck, and then they'll add sparks, lights, flashing lights. You will have time to get out of your seat and repair these things, but missiles need some sort of radial damage yet, which can then damage the components within that radius, and then the components will also have their radial damage. So if a component within a ship explodes and something is within that radius, it will also affect it, damage it, and then affect the pipes. And then if they explode, it'll basically just decrease the ship performance. If enough critical systems explode and take damage, then you will achieve the destruction but they want to allow enough time to get out of your seats to repair them before it explodes, provided you don't take too much damage. You will have the ability to snap ships in half as well, provided you don't hit the critical systems, but also where components are in your ship will determine the destructions of it. So if power plants are side by side, if one goes off, then they could both go down together. Taking out one ship, though, won't be the same for another ship. All ships will be different, and having crew members dedicated to repairing and maintaining ships will help the longevity of your ship. But also, things like derelict ships may be harvested for components, or stripped for metal, or even repaired and flown away. They are working on the whole lifespan of a ship, taking it from, well, just the damage of it, taking it from damaged to destructed, and then or derelict. Very cool stuff coming down the line. So, second to last question, will we be able to visibly see through our ship with the damage state? So if you get shot and it puts a hole in it, can we see through? And currently you can to a degree. It's not 100% accurate, but certain areas you can. But they did say that with turrets and airlocks, you will be able to breach them after blowing them up. Breaches won't be anywhere, because it's very difficult to produce this. It may be something for the future, looking into different breachable areas, but it won't be procedural, so don't expect anything from that one. So last question, how will ship armor work? Can it deflect projectiles? And they say it's still being worked out in terms of pierceability, but deflections are more unlikely as this requires so much more work and it wouldn't be practical, really. They're also going to look into subcomponent targeting. This is just completely irrelevant, but they're going to look into subcomponent targeting to get an X-ray sort of view of the interior components so you can pick them apart as you see fit. But that's more to do with radars. Anyway, that was the happy hour. Quite cool, some interesting stuff. I don't think it's anything new that we haven't heard already to too much degree, but it's cool to hear it anyway. So in this week's Citizens of the Stars, this week's community guest in Citizen Spotlight was Eris from Relay. This is a fan website to help spread the word of Star Citizen. They do a lot of good work in the community. That can be found at relay.sc. The developer in the hot seat was Nathan Dearsley, and the one really cool thing we got to see out of that was that they are working on this new light control tech, which is kind of like a giant circuit board used for telling lighting groups what to do, and it does look fantastic. So also this week there was a Spectrum Spectator post titled Strange and Stranger, but I'm yet to read that, so I can't bring you any more insight. Lawmakers this week brings us the Yellen system, and finally, for those interested during Gamescom, Star Citizen will be holding the 5th annual party in Cologne at the same venue they held it last year. Information on the ticket sales and dates can be found using the link below. I hope to see you there. On another note, in conjunction with BritizenCon, we are holding a Bar Citizen in Wilmslow on the 21st of April, which is the Friday before. Anyone is welcome, whether you're attending BritizenCon or not. Check the link below and let us know if you plan to join us for a few drinks. I hope to see you there. So that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for watching, and thank you to our subscribers, plus a massive thank you to our patrons as you make this possible. If you like what we do and want to help us make it better, follow the link in the description to our Patreon page to learn more.